My name is Jamil Janjua, and I'm the CEO of TCS Octara. Octara is a company that belongs to the TCS Group family, and it has established an enviable reputation as being one of the leading executive training service providers in Pakistan. A large part of our success is attributed to our chairman, Mr. Khalid Wan, whose personal commitment to encourage the development of the people at both TCS and at the Pakistan level. It has been very stimulating and very inspiring for us. We take great pride in delivering high quality learning experiences which are based on extensive research of training needs, after which programs are created, working with the best possible trainer, the content developed to address the needs, then marketed as a series of leadership acceleration programs, and finally delivered, ensuring all logistics is taken care of to ensure a high quality learning experience. Our team motto at Octara is to help you succeed. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you all for joining in. I am Aisha and I welcome you all on behalf of TCS Express Dubai and TCS Octara in this 1-hour webinar on Blue versus Red Ocean strategy and what's new. This webinar will be facilitated by Dr. Raj Kumar. And before I introduce our trainer of the day and formally begin the webinar, I would like to share some housekeeping rule for this session. Please turn off your cameras and mics while the presentation is given to avoid any noise and distraction. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A chat box, and we'll try to answer your questions towards the end in the last 15 minutes. This webinar is also streaming on Facebook, on Octara's Facebook page and UCSI page. So if any of your friends or colleagues have missed registering to this webinar, they can watch it from there. The webinar is also being recorded, and the recording will be available on Octara's YouTube channel and UCSI YouTube channel. Lastly, all the attendees will get the certificate of attendance via email. Before I introduce our speaker of the day, I would like to take a few minutes of yours and talk about the initiative taken by Octara during pandemic. Can you please change the slide? Yeah, so Octara during the pandemic has taken the initiative during the pandemic where we were in the situation of lockdown and working from home, and learning was at pause, which was required at the most during that time. So we taken the initiative of launching a digital platform via WhatsApp group, which is called TCS Octara Web Mall. The idea is to promote complementary programs for lifelong learning, and it includes all sorts of learning material from webinars to talks to blogs to storytelling session, from online training sessions, not only organized by Octara, but also from prestigious organizations like MIT, HBR, Stanford, and our established local training providers. So the aim was to facilitate corporates, HR, startups, and anyone who is interested in personal and professional development. So if you want to become a part of this group or become a member of this group and avail the learnings, you can sign in to the link coming on your screen and then also put it in the chat box. Now I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Dr. Raj Kumar. Raj Kumar is the, please next slide. Yeah. So Dr. Raj Kumar is the CEO of UCSI Consulting Group. He's a certified consultant and practitioner from Blue Ocean Strategy Initiative Center of Kim and Please switch off your mics and cameras. Thank you. So Raj Kumar is a consultant. He's a certified consultant and practitioner from Blue Ocean Strategy Initiative Center of Professor Kim and Marburn, co-creators of Blue Ocean Strategy. He has served in several multinational companies, and his forte in consulting ranges from setting up business operations to strategic planning, innovation, and execution of projects. His portfolio includes formulation of Blue Ocean Strategy, from number one pharmaceutical companies to the largest bank and educational institute in Asia. And he has also developed a big mega project for mega development project in the region. Raj has also conducted Blue Ocean strategy programs across North America, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, where he has interacted with hundreds of participants from over 25 countries. In 2016 and 17, TCS Octara has the privilege of inviting him as a keynote speaker in the annual Conference of Management Association of Pakistan. He has the doctorate degree in business administration from UCSI University, majoring in organizational innovation. So, without any further ado, I would like to thank Dr. Rajkumar and welcome for coming on board. Thank you, Rajkumar, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Aisha, and hello, everyone. Thank you, Oktara, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for inviting me. I bring you greetings from Malaysia, and I'm currently at home, as you can see, because we have an MCO, Movement Control Order, and also a state of emergency. But thankfully, we are here and live on Zoom, and we also have Facebook Live. And so I really wish that all of you are safe and well, and it's great opportunity for us to to be able to do this session online. Now I want to encourage all of you to share your Facebook Live. If you know the link, I hope that all of you can share it to your friends, because the topic that I'm going to talk about today is about blue versus red ocean strategy and what's new, right? And I want to update you on some of the new things that's been happening. But more importantly, we want to talk about how we can transition from being in a survival mode towards being in a revival mode. You know that the pandemic has hit many businesses, and we know that many people are in a survival mode. But I want to encourage you that, from the experience that we have seen in the last 1 year, in 2020 especially, we have seen that businesses can create their own blue ocean, and they can transition from being in a survival mode towards a revival mode. So it's been really exciting. So once again, I encourage you to share your Facebook Live to your friends, so that we can share these key principles and key thinking. We're going to talk a lot about philosophy. We're going to talk about strategic moves. We're going to talk about mindset shifts, and we're going to talk about even the methodology a little bit. And I think this is key. So if you think that any of your friends is going to benefit from it, I encourage all of you to share your Facebook Live, the links, and right now, okay? So that many people can benefit from this. All right, great. So let's get started. Now, I want to go and start off with the philosophy of red ocean versus blue ocean, right? And if we were to take a few couple of steps back, we want to look at what is the fundamental of strategy. And when we look at the fundamental of strategy, strategy in itself as a word comes from a Greek word called strategia. And strategia literally means the office of the general. So whenever we talk about strategy, we tend to take on a military philosophy. And when we take on a military philosophy, we tend to take a stance of defending the current position. Now, maybe we are not in military, but we in business as well, we still have this philosophy. So what we do, instead of an actual war, we have a price war. And we start adopting this philosophy of following best practices. When our competitor is doing something, we quickly follow what our competitor is doing, and we try to be better. And that's what is being happening right now. And we tend to defend the status quo, and we tend to go on, especially in certain industries, go on this efficiency based trajectory. And we think that will bring us growth. Well, it's nothing wrong with that, but it might not bring you the leapfrog growth. And then we tend to defend our brand legacy. We've been doing, we hear things like we've been doing this the same way of doing it for a number of years. We can't really change. So these are some of the red ocean philosophy, which is essentially a very military-based philosophy. But in business, what I want to encourage you is that when we talk about blue ocean philosophy, we are talking about ways to innovate and pursue new opportunities. This is the stand that we will take. Essentially, we will be looking at creating value. We want to create value for all stakeholders. We want to adopt a strategic thinking. We want to depend on insights and data, and we want to create new ways of doing things, perhaps through a methodology, a more systematic way. We want to come up with new ideas. We want to look at strategic growth, leapfrog growth, not just incremental growth. We want to look at how we can create and capture new market. We want to look at brand longevity and sustainability. So there's a very big difference in terms of our philosophy, in terms of moving from a red ocean philosophy towards a blue ocean philosophy. So that is where I want to set the tone, because what I notice, especially throughout the year, is many people, if you're in the survival mode, you tend to be in a very red ocean based philosophy. And so today, I hope there will be some aha moments for us to make that shift, for us to look at not just being in the red ocean space, but moving towards a blue ocean space. So this is in terms of philosophy. But what about in terms of the strategic move? So when you have the right philosophy, it creates a right strategic move. So when we talk about a strategic move, essentially a strategy, a red ocean move tend to focus a lot on competing in the existing market space. So you're not creating and capturing new market space, but you're competing in existing market space. And you always want to outperform your rival. You look at so-called best practices, but you always want to outperform the rival. And you want to exploit existing demand. You're not creating new demand. And last but not least, you are confined by the rule of differentiation or low cost, meaning that you are either a differentiator, a five-star player, or you're a low-cost player. And you can't have the best of both worlds. So again, that philosophy creates this strategic move. So this red ocean strategic move is based on what you subscribe to in terms of your philosophy. But if you subscribe to a blue ocean philosophy, as what I mentioned just now, your strategic move will be different. You will be creating an uncontested market space. You will be basically looking at making the competition irrelevant. You will be essentially creating and capturing new demand because you're looking beyond existing demand. You are looking at non-customers. In Blue Ocean, we use this term non-customers. And lastly, yeah, could you off your mic? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to ask Danija to make sure every mic is off. Yeah, as the admin, thank you very much. And if you have a question, please key in the chat group so that we can be able to interact later on. Thank you. So the last part of Blue Ocean strategic moves is when we can pursue differentiation and low cost, which is value innovation. So value innovation is a key principle because many a times when we talk about value innovation, we want to be able to reconfigure the business. We want to be able to differentiate and reduce our cost at the same time. And that is how a Blue Ocean strategic move is created. So what I'm doing right now is I'm laying down the foundation of the thinking, the philosophy, and also the strategic move that we are talking about here, where can this create new market space? Can this be in a point where, in a critical point right now during the pandemic, we have to have that Blue Ocean philosophy and we have to have that Blue Ocean strategic move. Because at the end of the day, we want to achieve some form of value innovation. Speaking of value innovation, it's amazing at this point to be able to reduce costs and to be able to increase value at the same time. And not just value for your customers, but value for your employee as well. And this in itself will increase your profitability. So how do we do this? How do we reconfigure this business? And what can we do in terms of reducing the cost and in terms of increasing the value? Now, just at this point, I would like to share that in 2020, we had the privilege to take clients through a journey, of creating their own blue oceans for themselves, reimagining the business, recreating the entire value proposition, reconfiguring the business to increase value and reduce costs, to eliminate, reduce risk, create, to increase the profitability of the company, but not by competing, but by creating your own market space by looking at non-customers. And there is a methodology to it. I'll share a little bit more. But what I want to say is it's a privilege to be able to see companies move away and are able to create their own blue ocean in 2020. And believe it or not, they have been one of our clients recently when I caught up with them. Upon executing quickly, even while executing, they had to turn down projects because the projects was coming on, and because they took the bold step of changing, of wanting to move away from red and moving towards blue. So that's why we are very passionate about sharing this content today, because of course it's a 1 hour webinar, maybe 30, 40, 35 minutes of content. But what's more important is the shift, the aha moment, the click happens today, and then you can start on this blue ocean journey for your company. So what we took our clients through in terms of a mindset shift during the pandemic is to move from being in a survival mode towards becoming towards a revival mode. And that requires a mindset shift in terms of moving from being a realist, right, understanding existing reality and focusing on the big picture. We took them through this first stage. You need to know where you are right now, and then moving towards being an optimist. See, many times people tend to stay at being a realist and they're in the survival mode, but it's not going to change. You have to move to the next stage, which is to be an optimist, which is to start to imagine possibilities. Then it gives you the courage to change. And lastly, then and only then you can be a revivalist, where you can create strategies and you can start to mobilize your team. You can have the buy-in and you can create a quick a strategy and a new value proposition for your customers. So these are the three stages or the mindset shift that happens during a pandemic. And on top of that, there are many companies out there that are naturally blue ocean. They subscribe to a blue ocean philosophy, and naturally they create blue ocean strategic moves. And that's why during the pandemic they start making a lot of money. They are very profitable, and they are maintaining they're actually growing in leaps and bounds. However, not all companies are subscribing to that, and they need a bit of help. So that's where there is a methodology to blue ocean. Many people think that it just stops at a philosophy and a strategic move and a thinking, but actually there is a systematic way, there is a methodology. And I thought today would be quite interesting to actually expose you a little bit to this methodology and to be able to share with you some of the tools and frameworks, which essentially is built upon this philosophy and is built upon these 3 stages of understanding where you are, imagining possibilities, and also creating new strategies. So understand, imagine, create, which helps you to move from being a realist towards becoming an optimist, and lastly, towards becoming a revivalist. And I'll share some examples as we move along, as I expose you to the tools and frameworks. Okay. Yeah. So the methodology is, again, as I mentioned, based on understanding, imagining, and also creating. And when we talk about understanding where you are, there are a number of tools that can be used and capitalized on and leveraged on. And when you talk about imagining, there's also a number of tools that can be used. And lastly, when you talk about create, there's a number of tools. I can't go through all of the tools, the frameworks, and you can read more about it. You can get the book, or you can reach out to us later on. But right now, for those of you who are very new to a new way of thinking, and all this while you've been using a lot more of a red ocean philosophy, beat the competition, someone has to die in order for you to survive. No. So today, I hope there's a change of philosophy and the change of creating a new blue ocean strategic move, if not using this methodology, or you can do it on your own, or you can get assistance and help. And when we talk about understanding your existing reality, it's important for strategists or planners or managers or CEOs to understand what the big picture is And to help you focus on the big picture, we have an interesting tool called the strategy canvas. So the strategy canvas helps you to visually look at your current strategy, to visually understand and appreciate the existing value proposition, or where you are right now, where your industry is. You have the key competing factors on the x-axis, and you have your value, and you have your y-axis that defines the value of that particular key competing factors, where you plot your company's value range and versus vis-a-vis your competitors, and then you can look at the big picture. So say, for example, this is one of the Blue Ocean strategy case studies example, a hotel called Citizen M that basically subscribed and used the methodology. And so this was the as is canvas, where they wanted to go into the hotel industry because they were from another industry. And when they look at the hotel industry, they started realizing that they need to understand the competitive landscape first, the reality. So by mapping out a strategy canvas like this, they can see that there is two major players: the luxury hotels, which has high price and high value of every other value key competing factors here. And then we have the 3 stars or low budget hotels. And there is a big gap, there's a big difference. And so by understanding the existing reality, then and only then we can start to imagine possibilities. Then and only then we can start to explore blue ocean uncontested market space. Then and only then we can start to create new strategies. And one of the things where you look at after understanding your existing reality, you start to imagine possibilities. There is a wonderful tool in Blue Ocean strategy called the 3 tiers of non-customer. It helps you to look beyond your existing demand. It helps you to just move away from just exploiting existing demand, but it helps you to explore the ocean of universe of non-customers, the ocean of opportunities. And there is 3 different tiers. You know, the first tier is soon to become non-customers, which is really outside the edge of your existing customers. And maybe there are the tier 2s, the refusing non-customers. And lastly, there are the unexplored non-customers, which has never been explored by the industry. And so by moving, by shifting, right, and imagining these possibilities, you know, you can start to see the beyond existing demand. And essentially, you know, this is where we can look at beyond your current positioning, and you start to imagine possibilities. So after that, we can look at the to be canvas, right? After you understand the existing reality, you start to imagine possibilities, and then you can create your strategies. And this is where you apply the principle of value innovation. This is where you start to look at ways where we can reconfigure the business, what we can eliminate, reduce, raise, create. You know, this is what we want to do in terms of applying value innovation, increasing the value and reducing the cost. And so because of that, you know, Citizen M could create a new value proposition, affordable luxury for the people. You know, this is where people, they can create a new value proposition, breaking away from competition, and break away and create a new value curve and have a new value proposition of affordable luxury for the people. And Citizen M created something that is completely different, especially when you talk about, you know, non-scripted stuff, communal living. And you can read more about it online. There's a YouTube video on it. But what I'm trying to showcase here is that tools and frameworks helps you to think systematically, helps you to adopt the philosophy, helps you to create your own blue ocean, and helps you to create that strategic move. But this is, you know, this is when times were good. This is where they created a fantastic, the most profitable hotel chain in the world using the methodology. But of course, everyone else suffered through COVID, you know, and they also suffered because of the decline in the hotel industry. However, The blue ocean philosophy and the blue ocean strategic move and the methodology is also foolproof even in the midst of pandemic. Why I say this? Because even if your industry is not is collapsing, you can be a revivalist in your industry if you adopt a different way of doing things, if you understand existing reality, if you start to imagine possibilities, if you create strategies and become a revivalist. You move from a realist to an optimist to a revivalist. Can this be done? Yes, let me showcase. So first and foremost, we know that the airline industry was badly hit, right? We know that every airline was, having over 40 airlines were failing. Airlines were letting go of people. It was a tremendous challenge on the airline industry, and most of them, some even filed for bankruptcy. But what if I told you that there was an airline called Korean Air that, in spite of the pandemic, was actually making 125 million profit per quarter during the pandemic. They had no retrenchment, they had no pay cuts, they managed to offset the 90% drop in passenger travel, they managed to mitigate all price volatility. And so what did they do different? What did they do different to revive the company and industry? What was their strategic move? What can we learn from them? So let's take a look at it. So again, the SC strategy canvas. Previously they are a commercial airline, right? They are, looking at the tourist travel industries, totally dependent on that. And if you look at the SC strategy canvas here, you start to see that, the price and the check-in, on board, these are all the key competing factors. And if you look at the value curves here, we talk about value curves, I'm talking about the y-axis, the graph here. You see things like low-cost airlines, Malaysia Airlines, AirAsia, Emirates, International Airlines. All of them are pretty much almost the same. The only difference is they want to do something better than the other. And there's incremental growth, or rather incremental improvement on each of these factors from one against the other. And there is no differentiation and low cost at the same time. Everything is the same. So that's why when the pandemic hit, everybody were in the same boat. Everybody say, nothing can be done. So that's the reality, right? That's being a realist, fine. But you have to move towards becoming an optimist. You have to look at what else can you do? What can be the possible market space that you go into? Who can be the possible non-customers that we can explore? How can we move beyond existing demand? And so what they did was they started being an optimist and started imagining possibilities. And so this is the beautiful part. They started looking at the 3 tiers of our customers. And the first tier, of course, is those memory chips, right? Micro memory chips from Vietnam factories. So we are moving away from the existing customers of tourists and business travelers. And then the second tier is where they're looking at the fresh fruit and seafood, right? Which is a perishable. And the third one is the medical supplies, unexplored, totally unexplored by specific airlines. And the beautiful part is they applied the value innovation. They quickly did this. They eliminated, of course, the entire configuration of a commercial flight, which is really like check-in, onboarding, onboard meals, assigning seats, and so on, reducing so-called fun image, retrofitting, everything else, accessibility and convenience. But what's more important is not just about reducing the cost, but raising the value. So they increase frequencies, they increase destination routes, safety, and they created new cargo manifests. So even they removed some seats, and even they started really retrofitting the entire aircraft, and they mobilized the staff. They gave all of them new uniforms, because in the past, one of the issues of traditional cargo flights is the staffing. But they got even the commercial staff to be involved in cargo. They started going after looking at micro cargos. They started looking at perishable cargos. They started looking at critical cargos like medical supplies. And they quickly reconstructed their offering with a new value proposition of being agile and profitable. And guess what? They made $125 a month, a quarter. And if you look at the to be canvas here, the create part, and this is the part where they become a revivalist in the industry, they have moved away from a typical cargo, or sorry, a typical commercial airline, even beating the existing cargo business, even creating new, value, beating the existing cargo, because they have certain benefits and strength based on what they actually could do. And this is where they apply the principle of value innovation, right, to pursue differentiation and low cost at the same time. Well, this could be something temporary, maybe permanent, you don't know. But at least for the fact that they are able to create fantastic value, they are able to still maintain profitability. And the best part is they can still have the people, coming on board and also helping out to build the airline. They could really mobilize the people as well. And I guess this is a fantastic example of how, a company have moved from being just, moved from being in survival mode towards being a revival mode, and how they've created a blue ocean of market space, creating their own market space for themselves. How they did it without increasing costs, they differentiated and started reducing costs. How they went after non-customers, how they made the competition basically irrelevant by creating and redefining and changing themselves in a fantastic, quick way, despite and in spite of the pandemic. So some key lessons here, being, especially when we talk about strategy and execution, I think what they did very well was they were agile enough to quickly adopt a more blue ocean mindset, and they did it very fast, and they explored non-customers. They looked at the untapped market, and also they systematically explored growth opportunities by using a methodology and different kind of thinking. In terms of execution, they mobilized the team quickly, and they aligned everyone together. They communicated the strategy very clearly early on, and they pivoted it, they pilot tested it, they had a lot of data, and they are still figuring out as we move along. Who knows, in the future, there could be a hybrid of massive cargo and commercial at the same time. But this is what happens. There are tremendous change that is happening in the world. But here is where we have to adopt the right philosophy. Here is where we have to adopt the right strategic move. And here is where we have to adopt the right methodology for us to create our own blue oceans. So it's important when we talk about strategy, to align the value proposition. It's important for us to look at the profit proposition and people proposition, because we have three different stakeholders. We have customers, we have employees, we have the shareholders. You can't have one without the other, and one leg cannot be longer than the other. But in terms of when you're in a situation like this, we have to adopt a right strategy. It has to sit on these three key pillars, which is, just like what Korea Air did. They had the value, they had the profit, but at the same time, they had the people proposition. They mobilized teams to be involved in cargo. They really retrain everybody. And I think that's an amazing thing here, because that's why they are making money when others are going bankrupt. So it doesn't have to be a big company. It sometimes can be a small, maybe you're a small SME. It's the same thing. It's the same philosophy, because you look at a distillery owner in US, how he converted his distillery factory into making hand sanitizers. Because when you talk about distillery, they create alcohol, and alcohol is one of the main components for hand sanitizers. And so in the past, same thing, imagining possibilities. He used to be serving bars, restaurants, but now, because they're taking away food, they can also buy the sanitizers as they buy the food. And of course, in the past, the medical industry are very strict, but now they're more open to allowing other players to come in. And lastly, other retailers, communities, state governments can be involved as well. So you see, it's not just about a big company, but it's also about, small companies being able to pivot if they are able to apply the same kind of philosophy. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to leave this slide here, and what I would like to do is, there's nothing like us getting questions, and internalizing this, and I can add on more examples and so on. But why don't we take some questions so that we can have some form of interaction here, and then we will basically take it from there. So I'm going to invite Aisha back, and let's moderate some questions. So if you have some questions, please feel free to key in the chat, and then we'll be able to take those questions for you.
Yeah. So you can write your questions in the chat box, and we'll ask Raj to answer your questions. I think there is no question as of now. Maybe you can continue the presentation.
Yeah, I'm sure there are questions. I think a matter of people just need some time to. So keen, those of you who are familiar, there's a chat bot, there's a chat there. Yeah, so you see, let's give them some time for some questions.
Yeah, so there's one question from Aribuddin Khwaja, and he's saying, what see red ocean strategy being so harmful is very common rather than blue ocean?
Why is it that we see red ocean being so harmful is very common rather than blue ocean? Okay, so okay, this is a very, very good question. So in a sense where it is, I'm not saying that red ocean is totally wrong, because I'm saying that that is some people still thrive in the red ocean. They tend to dominate and so on. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you're purely in the red ocean, it's going to eat you up, unless you are the champion there. You're the biggest shark in the ocean, you are going to be eaten up. So before that happens, you got to always move and change your philosophy and create a strategic move to break away from competition. The moment you have this thought that I don't need to compete, the market is big enough for everyone, but I need to find what is my value, who are the customers and non-customers that I can approach. And by doing that, you can create your own space, your own market space. So you don't have to compete. You see, for example, like last time when Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs was around, when he came back to the company, the first thing he told to his employees was this. He said, we have to remove the notion that in order for us to survive, Microsoft has to die. Because there was a red ocean of competition between Microsoft and Apple. But so each of them created their own blue ocean. Look at them, both of them today, they're both almost at $1 trillion market cap without competing with each other, because they have their own market space. Apple went into iPhones, Microsoft went into cloud. They have their own market space. So it's not about being harmful or not. It's about both of you being able to create your own market space, your own value proposition, so that you don't have to compete and kill each other. That's the main thing about creating your own blue ocean.
Okay, JJ is asking, can you identify some great examples of BOS?
Yeah, of course, there are many examples. It depends on which industry. But if you don't mind, can I just answer this one question here? Do companies stay in red ocean just because of comfort zone preference? I think that's a very good question. Now, the answer is a big yes. Remember, I talked about the earlier slide of when you are having a legacy, right? So if you talk about, let me just pull that slide out. When we talk about looking at our brand legacy, yeah. So when we look at the brand legacy, people tend to defend the existing position. Now, especially when you are doing well, and I think it is a comfort zone preference. And when we work with clients, those that are very successful are when they're already creating blue ocean, they keep wanting to create the next blue ocean, the next blue ocean, the next strategic move. So I think that's a very good question, and the answer is a big yes. Most of the time, it's because of comfort zone. So it's very important for you to start creating a blue ocean, especially when you're doing well, because if things are getting bad, it's going to be very difficult. As when you have resources, always think about your next blue ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Uh,
Why is blue ocean strategy important? Well, I mean, it's for sustainability, right? It's about increasing your value, increasing your profit, and increasing your people proposition. So it is very important, because if not, you're always going to be competing. You're going to be in a price war, and you'll always be always outperforming your rival, exploiting the existing demand, and you won't be able to create your own space. And it's very tiring to always fight, and both is a lose-lose situation. Blue ocean is important because it doesn't uh, create a lose-lose. It creates a win-win. Even competition can fight, can actually collaborate. You don't have to compete. You can start collaborating with each other. Apple and Samsung are collaborating. So it's important to have this blue ocean mindset. The more blue ocean you are, the better you can create your own market space. The better you can leverage of each other, and create great opportunities for you. It's a win-win. It's not a lose-lose or a win-lose. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at what is the scope of blue ocean strategy in Pakistan. So I'm not too sure what you mean by this, but if there is a need, or rather a desire for companies to want to apply blue ocean strategy in Pakistan, by all means, yes, because you can work with us. You can work with UCSI Consulting through Optara. We can always create ways where we can do it virtually. We can help you through the methodology. We have done this for governments, for companies, and we can do it virtually now. We can help you through consulting. We can help you through training. So there are many ways that you can start this blue ocean journey for yourself, for your particular companies. Yeah. See, Aisha, I told you the questions will come. You just need one person to start.
to start.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't mind? I'm just reading the questions out. Yeah. So many
Or
times.
if you want me to read, I can read it out for you.
It's okay. I can just do this. So many times companies are unable to create own market space, value proposition with a difference. Yeah. No. Actually, no. I don't think it's difficult. I think it's not rocket science per se, but it's difficult because people are unwilling to change. It's difficult because people want to hold on to what they know best. It's difficult because the fear of unknown. But you don't have to worry. It's difficult because a lot of people think there's a huge risk for you to make a shift. But you don't have to do that. There are many ways to mitigate risk. There are many ways where you can still keep your cash cow and you can create a blue ocean. There are many ways where you can balance the portfolio. There are many ways you can reduce and minimize the risk by not rocking the boat, so to speak. A lot of leaders are afraid. I talk to a lot of CEOs, and sometimes they're afraid to rock the boat. But you don't need to worry about that, because there is a way to mitigate this risk, and you can still enjoy a blue ocean. Because sometimes blue oceans can become red, right, over time, but you must all constantly create a strategic move. So that's why we feel that it's important for you to do it, but you don't have to worry. It can be done, and you can mitigate the risk. Okay, we have a question from Kamran. In pharmaceutical industry, which is highly regulated, at times it becomes challenging to adopt blue ocean strategy because of certain factors like taking procedures of drug regulating authorities, limited funding, research, and so on. How should pharma industry switch to blue ocean strategy in an effective way? Okay, so one thing you can see with what has happened in the pandemic is that regulatory bodies at some point have to be as quick and fast as the solution itself. We have a vaccine in record time. Even the regulators have to quickly work as fast as possible, right? So when you are in a highly regulated industry, even banks, I would always say, do first, apologize later. Of course, collaborate with the regulators. And you've seen many banks who have, now you look at the digital banks now are coming up, you know, regulators are moving towards becoming collaborators. So how can you make a regulator into a collaborator so that you can accelerate and create value for the regulator as well? And if you can, convince the regulator that this is creating value for everybody and you can collaborate with them, why not? So don't be too apprehensive about that, and use that as a mind barrier, because I've worked with many companies who are highly regulated, from banks to pharma as well, and it can be done. Regulators sometimes might not even know what they're doing, but if you can add value, if you can collaborate with them, then definitely you can create blue oceans together with them. Hope that answers that question. So a perpetual state of mental agility is key to staying in blue ocean. Yeah. Okay. No resting on one's laurels and enjoying the fruits of success. Yes, true. Constantly staying ahead of the current curve must become stressful. True. No, not really. If it becomes a culture, you know that when you create a blue ocean, you have about maybe 2 to 3 years, right? Time perspective, time window to constantly create. So companies that are very successful, innovative, they create it as a culture. So always, whenever blue ocean ideas can come from any part of the organization, blue ocean ideas can come, when you have that co-creation kind of approach, a culture, you can have great ideas coming from anywhere. It's not stressful. It's more stressful when you are in a red ocean. It's more stressful when your profit margins are very low. It's more stressful when your competition is beating the hell out of you. So those are more stressful. Creating blue ocean is not stressful. It's stress-free. That's why the term blue ocean is very peaceful. Is nice, right? How can automotive industry adapt blue ocean strategic move? Well, there's so many examples out there of automotive industry. I mean, look at Tesla. Tesla has created a blue ocean for themselves, and look at how well they're doing. I think, you can see that they really have tremendously applied the principle, the philosophy of value innovation and the philosophy of blue ocean, because they are already creating their own product, their own value. Well, of course, that doesn't mean that you have to become Tesla, but you can also always create something else. The important thing is, how can you create value is by understanding your customers and your non-customers, by understanding what are their pain points, by looking at how you can create value, by looking at the trends, by looking at how you can be relevant, how can you create new value for your customer. Value creation is very, very important in order to adapt or create blue oceans, regardless of, any industry that you're in.
Okay, Raj, Vakas is asking a question regarding which strategy is more useful post-COVID in your opinion?
Blue ocean, for sure, hands down. I think, because you have no time to compete, you are scarce in resource, it's very important for you to create a blue ocean quickly. Just like what Korea Air did, and it's amazing feat, right? Where everybody is dying, but they are creating value. So it's important, if they can just adopt that red ocean. Okay, let's just wait it out. Let's wait another year or two. The vaccine is out, or they could quickly adapt because they don't want to let anyone go. They don't want to have a pay cut, and so hands down, blue ocean for sure. So companies always try to make strategies for growth. So how can be identified the company or strategy failed in red ocean? I don't quite understand this. How maybe Aisha, you can help me out here with this question. I'll go on to the next one. Why is it that many times companies are unable to create their own blue ocean market space with a difference? Okay, many a times, Yasmin, people are not able to create blue ocean because they don't know how. They don't know the methodology. They are not fully subscribed to the philosophy. They are not fully don't know how. They don't know the methodology. That is why it's important to have help. to go through this whole methodology in order for you to inculcate that philosophy, in order for you to create your strategic move. So in order to have that mindset shift. And we have worked with great companies like even like Shell, for example, who have the most brilliant minds, but sometimes they need external help to come in and walk them through a different methodology, a different way of thinking, a different way of mindset shift, a different way of philosophy, and then they can create their own blue ocean. So the tools and frameworks helps you to do that. So what if red ocean is already giving you a win-win situation? You're already a market leader, then why need to jump to blue ocean? Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Like I said, if it's working for you in the red ocean, but bear in mind, if you're in the red ocean, somebody can come up and create something very quickly. I've seen it happen. It's the complacency. If you're a market leader, especially if you're a monopoly, I can tell you a disruptor might come in and create their own blue ocean, and they might make you very, very relevant. You have seen, if you read the book of Clayton Christensen, you look at disruptive innovation, you see many a times small players, anybody can get into the ring right now with you. It doesn't have to be a heavyweight. It can be a lightweight coming in and then disrupting you and taking on the market share. So, well, if you're the market leader and if you're already, you have a lot of resources, why not just explore and experiment on a blue ocean, right? So, why not even think of ways where there is a trend, there is a change, the future it will change. So you need to jump into the blue ocean. But like I said, you can manage your portfolio, you can still maintain your competitive edge and your cash cow and start planning for the future and have a longer time trajectory, have a longer 5 to 10 year time frame, and start creating a blue ocean today. Not to self-cannibalize yourself, but to complement and to be more innovative, to be ready for change that is happening. If there's anything that this pandemic has taught us, is that change is consistent and change is evident, and change can be manifested in any way possible. How paper industry can create new businesses in this pandemic. And as you know, we're all avoiding touch paper, a physical thing. We prefer to watch news. We are going in paperless environment. What's the best strategy you can advise to paper industry? So you see, again, it's about going through that thinking, right? And it's going through that, will paper be completely gone? Or maybe it'll be reduced. So if that's the case, then we will be shutting down all the entire mailing system, right? We'll be shutting down mail order. We'll be shutting down, what do you call this? The postal, right? I think that it will still be there, but it's just that it will manifest in different ways. For example, now e-commerce is going in a tremendous way. Well, e-commerce still need paper. You still need to print out, something where everything is digital. But at the end of the day, there's still a physical product. There's still paper. There's still something that needs you to sign. There's still something that comes in a physical form. So the question is, how can you still be relevant? How can you still be creating value? What is the new pain points? What are the new fear points? Like you said, hygiene, don't want to touch. Maybe you can create something different, right? How can you create a totally new product that is, that maybe is bacteria or virus proof, like what ICR has done in the paint. So again, it's about creating new ideas and having that right frame of mind to do that, right? So there's no big answer. It's just a matter of whether you're winning or not. Many people thought that when the cinema industry will be irrelevant, right? When DVDs and all that came about, and today Netflix is there, but is that the case? Will they still survive? We don't know. But will Netflix be there forever? We don't know. It's an ongoing thing about creating your market space. As long as you create value, as long as you're willing to change, adapt, and create your blue ocean, then that is definitely possible. So BOS without rocking the boat. Great, thank you. Okay. Let's say welcome. All right. So let's say we move to blue ocean and having our own market space with the passage of time. Won't competition occur in this market space? Yeah, obviously, because it's always going to the next level of blue ocean. Somebody will just come and try to cannibalize you because they see you making money, they see you creating market space. It's always about you go continuously creating your own blue oceans, continuously innovating. That's why it has to be a culture. And don't worry, when you really create a real blue ocean, like some of our clients, they enjoy up to 3 to 4 years until somebody else figure it out. There's always a sprint that when first people see you doing it, people say, no, that's not going to work. They wait and see. So when you really are successful, after that they come on board, you're already far ahead of them. Okay, so how are we doing on time, Aisha? Should we take a couple of more? A couple more questions?
I think we can take a couple of more questions.
Okay, so there's quite a lot.
Like
So
that
maybe
can
you
answer
can,
to most of the questions.
yeah, okay. So is Blue Ocean strategy only intended for startups and most? No, no, not at all. Blue Ocean can be applied for small, big, any industry. It's not just for startups. A lot of people think it's just for startups, but no. Anyway, big companies should have a startup culture. So that's a short answer to that. Um, okay. Yeah, paper company. I think maybe you can contact us directly. We can go deeper into that. Um, how can we apply this strategy without extra resources? Just like what Korea Air did, right? You can use and capitalize on your existing resources. You can capitalize on your existing employees, but you need to mobilize them. You need to share the strategy. You need to be very clear and communicate it to them. And you're able to capitalize on existing employees. You can mobilize them. A lot of people, when you communicate the strategy, they will follow your strategy. All right. Oops. Okay. Sorry. Um, yeah, existing setup. So such wonderful strategies, big words are often used, but there is very less talk on mindset and skills of bosses, employees need to have while going into position. Yeah, of course, mindset. Okay, it's not easy. It's not just a simple thing to just change a mindset. A mindset is like you need to shape the mindset, right? So that's why we take your mindset from being a realist and being optimist, and then moving towards being a revivalist. So many a times, a lot of people, you need to take it step by step. You don't expect someone to suddenly think blue ocean, suddenly, because they are afraid. They only know things that they know. And many a times when I do projects, the people that are, when they start off as totally opposing this, usually ends up as the biggest fans. And because it's a gradual thing, and they start to figure out and they start to know, hey, actually this is a good thing. So don't be discouraged. You can start small and take step by step. You see, a lot of times people are afraid to change because they're not involved. A lot of times people are afraid because they don't know how. So if you have a methodology, let's say you come together as a team and we all draw the canvas together, we all discuss what are our competing factors, we start to come together and work together and co-create the strategy together, then you will reduce the risk, you will reduce, you will get buy-in, and you reduce pushbacks. What are advantage to employee in Blue Ocean strategy? Well, if your company makes more money, you definitely will benefit from it, right? So that's the quick and short answer. FMCG, yeah, for sure. I think there are many cases where FMCGs are created now. Like when you create a great product, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like companies like FNN and so on. When you create great products, you can move faster. I think FMCGs are the great companies, industries that you can work with to create a blue ocean, because you want to come up with a blue ocean product. And when you come up with a blue ocean product, when you have the right channels, when you have blue ocean channels, we have the right product, you can move this. These are fast moving products, but how do you create demand? What are the customers looking at? What do they really want? I think those are important things you have to ask, but it's about creating the right product. Again, you need to look at what are some things where, why is the product not selling, right? So if you have product A, why is the product not selling? Is it an issue with challenge? Is it an issue with the price? Is it an issue with the bundling? Is it an issue with the network? Is it people don't understand the brand, don't communicate? So these are all things that you have to audit, you have to analyze in order for you to create a blue ocean product, a FMCG product, you know. So I think you need to see how other players come in, and how you can really look at ways where, you know, people know you for exactly what you are. Say Campbell soup, you know, people know exactly what Campbell soup is. It's very clear, it very stands out, and people buy it, right? And it's about consistency. So the value proposition is very clear, right? And now it can be available in many different forms and functions. So it's about consistency, loyalty. Economies that have heavy government regulation are often characterized by nepotism, cronyism. Oh, okay. Conclusion for those prepared to play ball. So government can apply blue ocean thinking as well, but it's a lot on the thinking and the strategy. You need to create a think tank for the government. You need to get people to come together, prescribe strategy, and so on. Okay, all right. So I think I've covered all. Yeah.
Shoaib has raised their hand, and I think he wants to ask something. Shoaib, can you please put your question in the chat box?
Yes, please. Yeah. We're using the chat because I think we have quite a big crowd today, and
Yeah.
if everyone were to open the mics and talk, I think it's going to be a chaos. Yeah.
No, he's saying he's fine.
Okay.
And other than that, like participants are thanking you in the chat box.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have any further questions.
Okay, fantastic, and we are right on time.
Yeah.
And so what I would like to do as we leave is for me to just share with you some context. My thank you slide here. And, you know, for those of you who like the presentation today, please follow us on our social media. We have, you know, our website. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we'll be uploading this entire session on YouTube as well. And if you would like to subscribe to our newsletter, there's a QR code there. And if you subscribe to it, you'll be getting a monthly newsletter that shares all the blue ocean example. I know somebody asked for, give me blue ocean examples. So every month we share a fresh new example. And so if you would like to subscribe to that, it's free. It's a monthly newsletter. Please feel free. And if you want to write directly to me, you can write it at inquiry@ucsiconsulting.com. And so I guess it's it. And once again, thank you, Oktara, for inviting me. And thank you, everyone, for this wonderful privilege. And I hope everyone will stay safe. And back to you, Aisha and JJ.
Yeah, thank you, Raj, for giving us such a useful session. And before I ask our CEO, Jamil Janjua, to say a few words, can we have a group photograph by giving a big thumbs up? And then JJ will say some words. I would request you all to please switch on your cameras and thumbs up, and we'll take a photograph. Raj, you can stop sharing the screen, and then, you know, everybody's picture will appear on the screen.
Okay, so I'll just stop here.
Yeah. So ready? I'm taking the picture, so I cannot, you know, give the thumbs up. Just a minute. I would request all to please switch on your cameras so that your face can appear. Thank you, everyone. Now I request JJ to say some closing remarks.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, Aisha. I take opportunity to thank Raj and his team, Tanuja and Siva from UCSI to have given us their valuable time in giving us an insight into the benefits of thinking blue ocean. Raj, it's always a pleasure to hear from you. Too bad we could not host you physically this time, but maybe soon with the vaccine that is being floating around. But thank you very much for refreshing what you have taught us earlier on about 2-3 years back at TCS with regards to blue ocean strategies. And we have benefited from your 2 days program that we conducted in Karachi, and have been thinking about, in fact, Octara itself during this pandemic, as Aisha has already introduced the web mall, to the participants. It was more of a blue ocean strategy in terms of how do we use the time that is available to us at home during the pandemic, and when we cannot go to the office, how to use it effectively for learning. And that is how in a manner, a new service which is free of cost was developed at Octara, which is called WebMall Plus. So I would strongly encourage all participants to benefit from this service that is free of cost, which allows you at your home, at your convenience, to access all kinds of webinars that might be of interest to you. So please, you can have I think you can write to Octara, and they will give you the WebMall registration process. But once again, thank you, Raj. Thank you, everybody, especially the participants who have stayed with us for all this time. Participants from Ufone, from PTCL, from Habib Bank, from Muscari Bank, from Dolens, from what we call Jaffer Brothers, from TCS itself, my sister company, my parent company, and all other people who I may not mention. Thank you for your time and for being with us, and to thank you for the encouragement that you give us in promoting more learning through these webinars. So I think Raj has very well reinforced the fact that during this, because of the pandemic, it has become even more necessary to look at creating new markets, because of the fact that during the pandemic and post-pandemic, there is a depression in terms of levels of requirement of services. So you have to start thinking about other avenues to create during this time. And that is why the strategy that you have developed, which is based on creating value innovation, is very, very useful. So thank you very much also to Tara's team, Aisha, Sarem, Zainab, Nazim, whoever is behind in the team. Thank you for creating this opportunity to have this program. And we hope to see more and more webinars. And I think, Aisha, you might want to talk about the next webinar now before we say a final thank you to everybody.
Yeah. So in the month of February, there are 2 webinars lined up. One with the title Effective Brainstorming, which is scheduled at 10th February between 3 to 4 p.m. Pakistan time. And the next webinar, same in February, we have a webinar on effective logistic leadership, which is scheduled on 24th February between same timing, 3 to 4 p.m. So if you want to register, you can visit our website and you'll find all the details on our website. Other than that, I have also put the link of TCS Octara WebMall Plus. So if you want to become a member of that group, you can sign and register at that link, and you can get access to all the learning materials. With that, I would like to thank you all the participants who are are live on Zoom, and also who are watching us on Facebook, and my colleagues at Octara and JJ, and last but not the least, Dr. Raj, for giving us such a useful webinar. Thank you all, and see you soon. See you soon.
Thank you.
Hafiz.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.